Well, a very good and happy Tuesday to you, and welcome to Turtle Island. Turns out we're all living on Turtle Island. We've always been living on Turtle Island, and we didn't know it. But now, thanks to leftist bomb-making lunatics in California, I know that I'm one of the turtle people. I might be related to Mitch McConnell. He's Turtle Boy. Have you seen these people, the Turtle Island Liberation Front? They're right out of Monty Python. Except they were planning on blowing stuff up. I guess in the Monty Python, all of the various liberation fronts, they were blowing stuff up too. Well, hacking things up. I think it might have been from before the Chinese gifted us gunpowder, but FBI foils New Year's Eve terror plot in Los Angeles. And they were also planning on blowing stuff up in New Orleans. They had, what were they going to blow up 5 locations, I believe, in the Los Angeles area on New Year's Eve. And then one of them, I guess he's a stray cat. He was in New Orleans, and he was going to blow up people in New Orleans. They're left-wingers. They're a radical left-wing group. Even CBS News couldn't deny it. The headline is, 4 members of far left group right there in the headline, charged for alleged terror plot in California, feds say. Wait, left, can't believe that. FBI arrests 4 alleged members of a radical pro-Palestinian group. They're pro-Palestinian. That means they're anti-Semites. That's what that means. We've got a soundbite or two on that today, too. I've got a lot of news because the Democrats are on the loose. They're off the chain. They're out of their lockup. And honestly, you know who else is out of it? Well, he's in lockup now, and that's Rob Reiner's son. Rob Reiner's son, he's in lockup. First they said we're gonna offer to release him with $4 million bond, $4 million bond, so he could be out on bail after murdering his father and his mother, the world famous Rob Reiner and his mother, slashing their throats and stabbing to death and all that stuff. They said, yeah, let's give him $4 million bail. Then he can use his father's money to bail himself out after murdering his father. Very California. No sense of irony, these people. So we've got that going. We do have some updates on the Rob Reiner and President Trump yesterday. While I was on the air, President Trump posted something on Truth Social that got a lot of attention because he kind of took a shot or two at Rob Reiner for being an anti-Trump zealot and TDS. He talked about Trump derangement syndrome. President Trump did. And so I went and did a little sniffing around yesterday and found some videos of Rob Reiner, in fact, demonstrating his Trump derangement syndrome. And he was indeed afflicted with a serious case of Trump derangement syndrome. And I have audio for you that it began as video, but we're on the radio show, so I'm going to play the audio portion for you. And we've got that kind of Rob Reiner talking about Donald Trump. He really didn't like Donald Trump. And what President Trump said yesterday, and I said this a couple of times yesterday, that President Trump said this, that it was kind of an outrageous thing that he said about Rob Reiner immediately after being murdered by his own son, along with his wife and the mother of his children and all that. But I said, but in 2 weeks, it'll probably turn out that Trump is either right or half right, either right or mostly right. And it didn't really take very long because, then the videos started emerging. And honestly, if you live your life with that kind of Trump derangement syndrome and you've got the mentally ill, drug-addicted son in his 30s, very bad, a volatile situation. But I've got some updates for you on that because there's a lot going on there. And I got to say, the turtle people made me laugh with their incredibly ridiculous scheme for a terror plot. But, look, all you have to do is blow stuff up and blow people up. You don't have to be a genius to carry off a terror plot. But 4 members of the far-left group charged in alleged terror plot in California, and FBI foils New Year's Eve terror plot in Los Angeles, California. There are remarkable elements in this story, that's for sure. Even CNN, FBI arrests 4 people it says were planning to detonate pipe bombs on New Year's Eve in California. The CNN headline doesn't point out that they're left-wing radicals and And they're anti-American, death to America. They've got the death to America chain, death to capitalism, because they're Democrats, they're liberals, and they want to murder because they're bloodlusty because they're the Democrat Party. But the Justice Department on Monday said it had arrested 4 people in the Los Angeles area for allegedly working together on a bomb plot that was set to take place around the city on New Year's Eve. And it's a Bruce Willis movie, I guess, and somebody had to stop them. The 4 people arrested, and they have funny names: Audrey Irene Carroll, Dante Garfield, Zachary Aaron Page, and Tina Lai. That's the short version of Tina Lai's name. Identified as members of, listen now, the Turtle Island Liberation Front. It's the Turtle Island Liberation Front. They're always a liberation front. And who are they liberating? They're just liberating other people's money for the most part, and then other people's lives and limbs. But the Turtle Island Liberation Front, which sounds like satire, it does sound like Monty Python, which, according to the Justice Department and the FBI, has an anti-government ideology. CNN doesn't want to, walk right in and say what it is. A federal court complaint alleges that 3 members would plant backpacks with IEDs at different points along their assigned buildings. They have assigned buildings, adding that the IEDs, the improvised explosive devices, would be complex pipe bombs. And the plan had outlined all of the security precautions that the members of the lunatic fringe Turtle Island Liberation Front, what is that, TILF, the TILF, they're the TILF. And I think they do go by the TILF, the Turtle Island they're the Liberation Front. And they'd be funnier if they weren't completely insane. But the Democrat Party has created them, and now they're on the loose. Complex pipe bombs, IEDs. Plan had outlined all of the security precautions the members would need to take while executing the plan, including using burner phones, very advanced technology, declothing locations. They have declothing locations because, they love to run around naked. And setting up long movies to stream at home to serve as an alibi. They've got, oh, no, I had a movie streaming at home, and it was, see, right there, you can check my Netflix, and I was watching a George Clooney movie about firing people and up in the air, and I was watching that. That's good, and they have declothing location. Documents also allegedly included a step-by-step process for crafting a pipe bomb. Well, you definitely need that. I mean, you need that early on, don't you? I think. The subjects self-identified as members of a radical offshoot of the Turtle Island Liberation Front. And here it is in parentheses, TILF. TILF. That's not MILF. That's completely different. This is not turtles, but never mind that. An extremist group motivated by pro-Palestinian, anti-law enforcement. Now, that's Democrat right there. Check the box. And anti-government ideology. They're anti-Trump. They were not a problem when Joe Biden was in the White House, when Barack Obama was in the White House. They were allegedly planning coordinated IED bombing attacks on New Year's Eve, targeting 5 separate locations across Los Angeles. FBI Director Kash Patel said in a statement on X, the members planning to carry out the attacks were using the encrypted messaging platform Signal. The FBI alleges in the complaint, Carol, the document said, and they all have funny nicknames too. Have you seen their nicknames? The 4 of them, they have funny nicknames. They've got like code names for their crazy group because you got to have a crazy code name, and that's the kind of people they are. So planning on carrying out the attack uses encrypted message Signal, FBI said, and the complaint that Carol, the document says, provided a list that identified components, chemicals, and tools, along with prices, which would be required to create the pipe bombs needed to go through with the planned attack. The Signal group was titled, I love this, Order of the Black Lotus. Order of the Black Lotus. They're hoping for an HBO series to come out of this. Isn't there a series called The White Lotus? Isn't there that White Lotus? But these people are the Order of the Black Lotus. They have the Order of the Black. You should get 100 years in prison just for coming up with these stupid names. According to the Justice Department, they're They're members of the Order of the Black Lotus. On December 12th, that was my birthday, the group allegedly went to the Mojave Desert and constructed the rest of the explosive devices. And it's kind of funny because there's video of them out in the desert setting up their blast practice zone and stuff. And it's a drone. Have you seen that? They had a drone hovering over the FBI making videos of them. So I guess they were onto them. Your cover has been blown. Based on an FBI technician review of the materials found at the co-conspirators' campsites. They had campsites. They like camping. The FBI bomb technician determined that the components could likely be used to build both improvised explosive devices and Molotov cocktail devices. We know how Democrats love Molotov cocktail devices, especially with the Jews. You know, the Democrats, they love firebombing the Jewish people. Molotov cocktail devices, and that the components were readily assemblable. Readily assemblable. That's what they said. The complaint says. That's what it says in the paperwork. And they've got all kinds of crazy signs, and they have their own newspapers, The Liberator, An American Catastrophe, Fascism. See, it's Trump. Turtle Island Liberation Front, Death to America. They've got their Death to America signs all over the place because they're Democrats, and they're like ISIS. They're like Al-Qaeda. They're going to be crashing planes into buildings before long. Death to America, one of the big signs here says, long live Turtle Island and Palestine. It has and Palestine. Death to ICE. Death to ICE. They have signs made up. So they got a lot of death to stuff. And isn't that great? And their sign, America is fascist. And they join the resistance because they're the resistance. And they're mental. But they're violently, criminally insane. And they're perfectly in the mainstream of the Democrat Party because this is what the Democrat Party has become, a radical anti-American, anti-capitalist terror group with all kinds of sexual issues. They have got a lot of sexual issues. CBS News, 4 members of far-left group charged for alleged terror plot in California, feds say. Now, the news media, they usually get to work saying, how can we make it better for the criminals? How can we minimize any difficulty that the terrorists might have? But it's another left-wing Democrat Party terror group. They go way back. They created the White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. Their boy Nathan Bedford Forrest did, big Democrat Party leader. In the South after the Civil War, created the KKK. Democrats created all the Jim Crow laws. Democrats created the Students for a Democratic Society. The Democrats, terrorist groups, left-wing terrorist groups. Democrats created the Weathermen, and then they decided that was sexist, so they changed it to the Weather Underground because they didn't want it to be men because, man stink. I smell man stink. So they had to drop the man from it because they were already anti-man, not that they were pro-woman. They're just pro-mental illness. But isn't that great? And when they created the Symbionese Liberation Army, they kidnapped Patty Hearst and went on bank robbery sprees. And William Ayers and Bernardine Dorn, they got tenure on major American campuses after being arrested for the armored car robbery and killing police officers. And they're like, oh, we like the cut of their jib. Let's give them tenure at a major American university in Chicago. And then you could hook up with Barack Obama, and you can become, closer to the Lord, who is Barack Obama, of course. Isn't that great? So we've got, the Democrats with their what are they? The tomato cans, this group, and the Black Lotus. I love the Black Lotus people. They're out in the Mojave Desert blowing stuff up. The FBI had a drone overhead making video of them. They didn't know anything about it. They're not very bright. So we got that. Got an update there. Brown University, boy, there was a mass shooting there. 2 people murdered and 9 more shot and wounded. The gunman's still on the loose. And the police say, oh, just go about your business as though everything is normal. Everything is fine. Sure, the mad killer is still on the loose with his guns. We don't know who he is. We don't know who we're looking for. Kind of a guy who hasn't skipped a meal lately, and he's got a big old belly. And he dresses in black, and he walks around. You see, he does the European walk. You see him doing the European walk with his hands clasped behind his back while doing the walk. That's like old European men in France. They do that. We've got that. So they're looking for the killer, for the gunman who killed the vice president of the college Republicans, a lovely young woman, and a guy from Uzbekistan, killed a guy from Uzbekistan, wounded 9 more, disappeared into the ether. And they have 850 cameras on campus or something, but they don't really have any video of him. Didn't capture. It's like Jeffrey Epstein's jail cell. There are cameras all over the place, but they don't capture anything. This is what happens when you put Democrats in charge of anything. Another Ivy League university proving to be. Oh, and I saw the woman who's the president of the university. Boy, she came off like an idiot yesterday. She just classic textbook Ivy League dimwit. That was fun. We are at 888-630-9625. Everywhere you look, we got the jihad, we've got the left, we've got terrorism everywhere you look. Hey, it's the Christmas season, so the jihadis, they love to kill around Christmas time, and then the Democrats, the left, they're pretty wacky. Now, what is this? Michael, Barack, and Michelle Obama were planning on spending their evening with Rob Reiner. Is that what they're claiming now? That sounds a little bit peculiar, doesn't it? But if Barack and Michelle, the Obamas, Big Mike, and Barack, was he going to bring Larry Sinclair with him? I assume he's hanging out with Larry Sinclair again now that he's out of the White House and everything. But remarkable stuff, I've got to say. Yeah, the Obamas said they were going to be spending time in the evening. They didn't say they were going to have dinner or they're going to be dancing. They're going to go to a movie. They just said they were going to be spending time with Rob Reiner and his now deceased wife because their son Nick murdered them and slashed their throats and all that, and it's a terrible thing. And Nick, not a good guy. He's in jail now, and he's in the suicide watch. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? And they have no video from the campus of in the Ivy League campus, Brown University. I don't know what it is with Democrats. They do everything poorly, don't they? So now he's on suicide watch. Who else was on suicide watch, Michael? Oh, Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was on suicide watch, and he was in a jail cell, and there were supposed to be cameras watching him and guards watching him, but it turned out there were Democrats involved. I think music was better then. Oh, we haven't even talked about Cardi B. Cardi B's a lot of laughs, isn't she? Where'd she go, Michael? So she went to Saudi Arabia, because everything's great in Saudi Arabia. They haven't stoned her to death yet. Yeah, she says she's trying to outdo Rosie O'Donnell or something who moved to Ireland. And Saudi B is the one headline. Cardi B goes outside in Saudi Arabia, says she likes it more than the U.S. She likes it more than the United States. Y'all need to convince me to come back, she says. I don't think that we do, actually.
I'm starting not to like America. America made me pay taxes. The vice president talking about me on Twitter. Like, I don't know. I don't feel appreciated on America. Y'all need to convince me to come back. I don't know if I want to go back. Convince me now. Beg me to come back.
No?
Beg me to come back to America. I don't think I might go back.
Okay.
I mean, why would I? Look at this country. Look how they treat me.
Look how they treat me. Yeah. For now. She may end up in a penitentiary for the rest of her life in Saudi Arabia, but I got to say that it'd be a little bit of funny. Cardi B may be, a bodega baddie. She's a bodega baddie. Or if Dr. Jill Biden, it would be a Bogota. It'd be a Bogota baddie. She's loving being treated like a Saudi princess. And she's all dressed up and wrapped some kind of black sheathing around her bulbous buttocks.
As distinct as the Bogotas of the Bronx.
Very distinct, the Bogotas of the Bronx. They're always keeping it real, aren't they? So Am I the Drama? Am I the Drama rapper? It's her big hit, Am I the Drama? Yeah, I got to. Our standards are so low because of the Democrat Party and for all the wrong reasons. Amazing stuff. Fully covered and form-fitting black number for her arrival in Saudi Arabia. She's, again, tightly wrapped in this black thing. She let fans know that the locals welcomed her with open arms and then didn't chop her head off. Cardi she jetted off to the Middle East to perform at the Soundstorm Festival in Riyadh. Well, who doesn't love being in Riyadh? All the bars, the great bars, the music. Just kidding. They don't have any of that. And clearly enjoyed her time there in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And she says, we're going to have to try to talk her into coming back to the United States. I don't think anybody's going to try to talk her into coming back.
It's very strict out here. Yeah, they will put you under the jail. They ain't playing around. Yeah, you will go to prison. Mess around and find out. Absolutely. There's no alcohol, but some of y'all don't need to be drinking and having sex. Y'all need to repent.
She found Jesus in Saudi Arabia. That's wow. That's good. It's the first time that's ever happened. Actually, she's a bright one. And what was her complaint? That in the United States she's got to pay taxes. And I think we all understand that. She thinks if she moves to Saudi Arabia, she won't have to pay taxes anymore. That might be the case. It's hard to say. But Cardi B, we've always gotten a big kick out of her. She's a piece of work, that one.
I'm starting not to like America. America made me pay taxes.
Yeah, sure. And she's talked about what happens to her tax money in the past because she said her friends get sent to prison and they only get 2 pairs of underwears. 2 pairs of underwears, which is the plural of underwear.
I want to know what you're doing with my tax money because I'm from New York and the streets is always dirty. We was voted the dirtiest city in America. What is y'all doing? There's still rats on the trains. I know y'all not spending it in no prison because y'all be giving like 2 underwears, 1 jumpsuit.
1 jumpsuit and 2 underwears, the plural of underwear. And who else? I think it was, who was that? The woman that cut her husband's appendage off. That was, Lorena Bobbitt. Yeah, she said underwears, also underwears. Underwears. How many underwears? The Democrat Party. All right, let's get, but Cardi B, enjoy yourself in Saudi Arabia. I spent several months in Saudi Arabia myself, mostly in Dhahran, not in Riyadh. But it was good. You could jump in the car, shoot across the causeway to Manama in Bahrain, the capital city in Bahrain, where they do have bars and hotels and restaurants that you might go to and things like that. It's the party place. And then all the drunk young Saudi men come barreling across the causeway late at night, drunk out of their brains. And they have, you know what they have there? They have women. As Cardi B talked a little bit about that, too. They have women there. They have women there. In fact, I was I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I spent a few weeks in India one time, traveling around India. And we had a nice woman working for us as kind of a fixer, who'd showed us, turn down here, don't go down there, and speak the language and stuff. And she was a lovely Indian woman. And talking to her, and she was a lot of fun. And we were talking, and she said, talking about this and that in Saudi Arabia, she said, oh, I used to live in Bahrain. Really, you lived in Bahrain, in Manama? She said, yeah, I lived in Manama for a couple of years. And we talked, and then finally I said, so what were you doing in Bahrain? And she said, what all the girls do in Bahrain. All right, well, that's that. She was a very nice lady. She was an actress, too. She had appeared on episodes of Star Trek. She had been on Star Trek. But I'm not giving away any names because she was doing what all the girls were doing in Bahrain, which was, they're professional girls. They're professional girls. But I was running the U.S. network pool operation in Dhahran, and I had to dispatch my people for weekend breaks in Manama, Bahrain, so they could get away from the daily grind from time to time. But let's go to some audio here. Enough about Cardi B and Saudi Arabia and all that good stuff. Let's go to the audio because this Rob Reiner. Have you seen this? It turns out Barack Hussein Obama and his loving wife, Big Mike, were planning on spending their evening with Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner the night that they were killed. Now, that night they were killed in the daytime, and they were supposed to be spending their evening with the Obamas. And when I saw this, I did have to wonder, was Hillary anywhere nearby? Because if Hillary was anywhere nearby, it might change the math on all of this. Release Nick because Hillary was there. But it doesn't look like Hillary was there. But they do, Michelle and Big Mike and Barack Hussein, they say, oh, yeah, we were going to be spending the evening with Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner because it's all a circle fest in a hot tub. The Democrat Party and the propaganda apparatus of the Democrat Party. Let's go to President Trump. I read this for you on the air yesterday when President Trump posted on Truth Social his comments about Rob Reiner being killed, and it got a lot of attention. And I said yesterday, if I were standing over President Trump's shoulder when he was writing that on Truth Social, I might have said, "You sure you want to do that?" Maybe I wouldn't hit send on that. Maybe don't hit send. But the post on Rob Reiner, a lot of attention, mostly negative attention. President Trump was asked about it by the press, of course, because he never stops taking questions from the press. President Trump and a reporter yesterday.
Mr. President, a number of Republicans have denounced your statement on Truth Social after the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. It was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country, yeah.
He likes to provide you with the unvarnished version of what he has in mind, and he doesn't spend a lot of time in the land of bourgeois, does he? Now, he wrote on Truth Social, his own social media platform that he created because the leftists were banning him from Twitter and so on. And remember, it was Barack Obama ridiculing Donald Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, saying he's never going anywhere. That inspired Donald Trump to become president twice so he could undo everything Barack Obama ever did, since he's a stain on the history of Western civilization, Barack Obama is. But President Trump yesterday on Truth Social wrote, Rob Reiner, tortured and struggling, but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away after having his throat slashed by his son, together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. That's what President Trump put out on the Twitter, and that kind of an interesting thing to put out there right away. But I've got to tell you, I went looking yesterday, and President Trump said that Rob Reiner suffered from, and presumably his household, from Trump derangement syndrome, and they really, really hate Donald Trump, and everything Donald Trump does makes them go crazy. And it turns out Rob Reiner posted a lot of videos and appeared on a lot of TV shows where he said some pretty crazy stuff. But look, he got his news from MS-13, DNC, and probably from CNN, and they lied to him all the time, and he thinks that he's being told the truth. So that's a problem. But here's Rob Reiner in a video saying that Putin and Trump secret meetings plot to steal the 2016 election, and the intelligence community said it's all true. Trump and Putin, and it is a pretty good example of Trump derangement syndrome. Here's Rob Reiner in one of his own videos.
I'm Rob Reiner, and America, we've got a problem. We've been attacked by a foreign enemy power, and our president refuses to defend us.
Attacked by a foreign enemy power.
Donald Trump is meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
World leaders.
One-on-one in a closed-door meeting.
Oh, no.
No aides present and no record of what will be said. Putin's government attacked our democracy by interfering in the 2016 election to help Donald Trump become president. That is not in dispute. It has been verified by all U.S. intelligence agencies, the Republican-led Senate Intelligence Committee, and the U.S. Justice Department.
That's right, and the U.S. all of our intelligence agencies and the U.S. Justice Department, Joe Biden, they said that Putin helped Trump win in 2016 because they didn't like Hillary. But that's not fair because nobody likes Hillary. That's that's not the measure that you should use. But there it is, and he's posting videos. He's not done, though, because he liked posting. This is the same video.
Trump and his campaign's conspiracy with Russia is the subject of a federal investigation. And yet Donald Trump refuses to meet with Robert Mueller, the prosecutor leading that investigation. Trump said he'd meet with anyone. He told us,
I'll speak to anybody.
But now he's backing out. If he has nothing to hide, why won't he sit down and answer Mueller's questions? What's he afraid of? Join me in demanding that Trump meet with Mueller and answer his questions.
Yeah, I think, what was her name? Stacey Abrams, who thought that she was the governor of Georgia for years and years after she lost the election, and she went around saying that she was the real winner and that it was stolen. And Hillary Clinton said that the election was stolen from her. You can run the best campaign and be the best candidate. She thinks she was the best candidate and still have the election stolen from you.
You can run the best campaign. You can even become the nominee. And you can have the election stolen from you.
You can become the nominee, but if you're an awful, terrible person that nobody likes, including your husband, your alleged husband, I got to say, isn't that amazing? But Rob Reiner, he's gone crazy, and there are, on Al Gore's amazing internet, peace be upon him, there are montage videos of Rob Reiner saying all his God, I hate Trump stuff.
We have a racist in the White House. We have
Obama?
A sexist in the White House.
Biden?
And he is tearing away
Clinton?
At the fabric of our democracy.
It's our democracy.
The single most unqualified human being to ever assume the presidency of the United States. He's
Joe Biden?
Mentally unfit.
People always say, you could redo All in the Family. I said, what do you mean? We're living it. We've got Archie in the White House.
The problem he has, as far as I can see, is that he's a pathological liar.
People have to understand our democracy is being taken away from us. Make no mistake.
Taken away.
We have a year before this country becomes a full-on autocracy.
This is not a political party anymore.
Full-on autocracy.
I don't know what this is. I believe there's a Christian nationalist movement that's very frightening.
There's a Christian nationalist movement that's very frightening. He was definitely afflicted. He had been afflicted with Trump derangement syndrome on an epic scale. Rob Reiner and President Trump. So, you run a household like that crazy, and who knows? Did this lead to it? Now, it turns out that Rob Reiner and his son, who allegedly murdered him, Nick, they had a big fight. They had a big fight at a Christmas party on Saturday night, and they were yelling at each other, and everybody was scared, and then they had to leave the party. It was Conan O'Brien's house. Not Conan O'Brien. It was at Conan O'Brien's house, the Christmas party. And apparently their psycho, drug-addicted, mentally ill son was going around walking up to people saying, "Are you famous? Are you famous?" And they had to snap their fingers and call security. Security. Who's the psycho over here? And then there's Barack and Michelle Obama. They were planning on hanging out with Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner that night. But then it turned out they weren't available.
We're looking at two existential crises, democracy and the world, the earth. Right. If we don't take this presidency away, we're going to lose democracy and we're going to lose our ability to live on the earth.
All right, so the Democrats, they're really not on our side. Yeah, the story out there is that the Obamas, Barack Hussein and Michelle Big Mike Obama, they were planning on meeting up with Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle. They got two Michelles on Sunday night when they found out, oh no, our dinner dates have been murdered by their own son who slashed their throat. And Michelle Big Mike Obama was on TV last night. What was she on? Jimmy Kimmel. On Jimmy Kimmel in Los Angeles, California. Michelle Big Mike.
I know you and your husband were friends with Rob and Michelle Reiner.
Very close.
I'm very sorry for your loss.
Oh, my God.
How long have you known the Reiners?
Weeks.
We've known them for many, many years, and we were supposed to be seeing them that night. Last night.
That night.
And we got the news
that they wouldn't be available for dinner anymore because their son slashed their throats.
Let me just say this. Unlike some people, Rob and Michelle Reiner are some of the most decent, courageous people you ever want to know.
But they got their news from MS.
They're not deranged or crazed. What they have always been are passionate people in a time when there's not a lot of courage going on.
Now, and of course, he had Trump derangement syndrome up the yin-yang, and we just played some audio of that because it's perfectly normal in Hollywood, of course, but everybody, it's the Russians are coming, there's a conspiracy. The intelligence community told Rob Reiner that Putin and Trump were in cahoots.
Our democracy is being taken away from us.
Yeah, the usual Democrat Party stuff. But Barack and Michelle, they had to find something else to do, apparently. I bet they found something.